Howdy friends, and welcome to The Average J. It is almost time, but going to be time for processing our Cornish Rocks. This is a joint project with me and Joan at Joan's Point of Plate. These birds are 7 weeks old, and the original plan was to process all of them on October 9th. But some of these birds have grown at an extraordinary rate, and we've got to do something about it. I don't think they're going to make it to 9 weeks. Due to their size, I'm very concerned of health issues, busted legs, heart problems. So there's 5 birds out of the 10 that are extraordinarily large. So I'm going to go ahead and process those 5 today, and then in 2 more weeks, the remaining 5, Joan and her family are going to come over and we'll process them then. But we've got to do something for them because they're just too big. We have our workstation set up, so it's basically kind of like an assembly line. The first step that we're going to do is after we get the birds, we're going to put them in the processing cone. So I'm not going to show how we, put them out of their misery, whatever the word you want to use. I hate to use that, but basically you're going to put them into the cone, head first, feet up, with the breast to the outside. The breast is going to be to the front side. I have a bucket for the bird to drain out in. After a couple minutes, they're probably going to move around a little bit, but then once they're done, I'm going to give them a quick rinse off with the hose. I used to put a bucket of water down, and I just felt like I was dipping them in old water all the time. So I'm just going to give them a quick squirt with the hose. Then I'm going to put them in the pot for scalding. The water is going to be 150 degrees. You don't want it any higher than that. Really, you can go up maybe almost 155, but that's the most you're going to want it, because otherwise you're going to start cooking the bird, cooking the skin. So by putting it in 150 degree water for about 40 seconds, it's going to loosen those feathers up. Feathers are like fingernails on a person when you think about it. If you get out of the shower and you cut your fingernails right out of there, it's a lot easier. So once we're done that, we'll bring it over to the processing table. This is where we're going to go ahead and start plucking. I do not have an automatic plucker, so this is like the greatest point of time is plucking the birds. So once they're plucked, then we'll go ahead and start processing them. I have my Dexter Knives. These things are really good. I sharpen them, or just give a quick hone to the edge between every bird. And then once the birds are done, I bring them over and I put them into a thing of ice water. So if you look inside, you can see I put ice in there. It gets that water nice and cold. The reason we do that is you want those birds to be nice and cold, so that when you put, 2 reasons. One is when you put them in the shrink wrap bag, that water is going to be at like 180 degrees. If the bird is real cold, that 7-second dip won't affect the birds. Plus, by having the birds cold, you don't have to worry about when you put them in your freezer that those hot body temperatures are going to start making everything else in your freezer. So we're going to go ahead and get started in a few minutes. I got my scalding water heating up right now. So sometimes people think that this is a cruel method or that it's not real nice, but I just want to say that this is part of sustainability and a more healthy lifestyle and living. You know where your food comes from. If you look at how chickens are processed commercially, now that is cruel and mean. These birds every day have had human interaction. We move them around, we feed them every day, and visit them. Michelle and I do, Alex does. We pet these chickens, we put them out in yard time, although one time a hawk went by and scared the daylights out and they got out of the cage and everything was around the yard. But these birds have been treated extraordinarily well for their 7 weeks, and for the ones that make it past today, the remaining 2 weeks. They're not pets. You don't get attached. People say, oh, how could you kill them after you get that attached to them? We don't use that K word, except for I just said it right there, but we always just say we're processing them. It's a part of a process for food. They are a part of our food chain. So it's not a mean thing. The processing is very humane. It's over in a second. And like I said, the life that they have in a factory, sitting in a 1x1, you know, cage with just food just constantly rolling by, that's no life. So these birds have gotten to feel grass under their feet and wind in their feathers. So it's a sad day because, you know, nobody likes to do this part, but it is a necessary part of the circle of life. La, la, la. Alright, so our first bird is in the cone, and my water, my scalding water, is a little hot. So what I'm going to do is add some cold water to get that down to 150. Okay, water is at 150. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the chicken out of the cone and I'm going to put him in here for about 45 seconds. So we're giving a quick rinse. And we're just dropping them in. No, not dropping, but. And then I just have a little rod that I use. You always want to make sure they stay completely submerged. And you're going to do this for 45 seconds, okay? And that's going to loosen those feathers up. Like I said, it's like cutting fingernails. It's not real exciting. It's not really a whole lot to watch. The main thing is you just want to keep them underneath of the water for 45 seconds. 40 to 45 seconds. I just dip them up and down just a little bit. I can see some feathers starting to pop out already. You don't want to leave it too long because otherwise you're going to start to cook your bird. And you can test if it's ready because you can easily pull some tail feathers out. So I got some feathers. Alright, so because they're out, we're going to go ahead and take this bird. Let that drain off. And onto the table. So one of the things, well, I can take these gloves off now. If it's scalded correctly, then you'll be able to take that skin right off of the feet. See how that peels right off of the feet? That's how you know that bird is ready. And now it's just going to be a matter of plucking it. Once you got your feathers off, next thing is you're going to start to process it. First thing you want to do is you want to get rid of the feet. I do not save the feet, but what you're going to do is, so the natural guidance of that foot is to flop forward. What you want to do is you just want to bend it back, and in between that joint you're just going to make a little cut, and there's just like one little piece of cartilage there, and then you're going to come up from the bottom and cut through, and that's literally all it takes. I don't keep the feet for stock. I know some people do, but that's not what I do. So again, you're just tilting it, make a little cut, and then you're gonna cut up. And it does help if you have a sharp knife. Once you get that done, you're gonna want to get the crawl. The crawl is part of the esophagus where the food goes. So we're just gonna make a little incision in the skin. I do not want to puncture into the cavity of this bird, really. I just want to get into like the throat. So reaching in here, here is the esophagus right here. I'm just gonna stick my finger in through there and pull that apart from the neck. I don't want to have that one there. And then I'm just gonna work my way down. It's also attached just slightly to the breast, so you're gonna have to get your fingers in there. This is why I use the gloves, because touching this stuff normally is just gross. So I get my thumb under there, and I did not feed these birds for approximately 24 hours before processing so that the crawl would be empty. And looking at it right now, it is. This is the esophagus, and this is the crawl right there. So once these are off of the breastbone, we're good to go ahead, and we're going to work our way towards the back of the bird. Okay, you do want to make sure that this stuff is loose, because if it's still attached, you're never going to pull this through the bird, because that's our intention, is to pull this stuff through the back side of the bird. Once we're done that, we're going to go to the back, and right at the opening, just take a little bit of skin, and you're just going to peel it a little bit. All right, and you're just going to make a slight cut. You do not, again, you don't want to get into the bird, just enough that there's a hole. You're going to take that hole and you're going to just kind of rip it open, all right, so that you can get your fingers in there. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take, wow, this bird ate healthy because he has a decent amount of fat in it. I just take 3 fingers and I'm going to reach up in there and try to get everything in one fell swoop. All right, so I'm going to grab in, pull everything to the back, you know, so that we get everything out back. All right, we're getting there. We'll get her done. All right, and here is that esophagus and crawl. Remember I said it was going to come all the way through? So you see, we took it all the way from the front, all the way to the back of the bird. So we're scooping everything to the back, okay? Now, what you don't want to do is you don't want to break the gallbladder inside, because that would ruin your meat. Here's the heart. Again, I don't save any of these parts. I guess some people can. I think people sometimes grind them up. Some people eat them. I used to eat them when I was a kid, I guess, but people can grind them up and make like homemade dog food and stuff. I don't give them the Artie. I scooped everything to the outside, all right, and you know, again, there's the crawl. I pulled everything all the way through. What I want to do is I'm going to cut into this area right around the vent. I do not want to cut into the butt. I mean, it's the only way I can say it, you know. I'm just kind of cutting around it because I don't want surprises, you know. And that's it. So I got that all cut. Now I'm going to just take everything and just throw it in the trash, yuck. And then the last thing, I go back in and I make sure I get them lungs. You do not want those lungs sitting in there. And usually when you pull that stuff out, the lungs don't usually come out. You gotta go back in there and get, oh, There's a little bit of stuff in there. Not that I have big hands, but sometimes this can be tough. You can just really, even though you have gloves on, you can use your fingernails to just kind of scrape them lungs out. I'm having a tough time, but I got them. There's one. Yeah. And the other one, there we go. So we got the lungs out. That is a nice clean bird inside. I'm going to give it a quick rinse. Michelle, would you do me a favor, turn the water on? All right. All right, and that is the first bird. Now we're going to take it. Michelle, you want to take the camera and just move it around this way? Just pick it up. Just pick it up. All right, Michelle's going to move the camera around so that we can show putting it into the bucket of cold ice water. One bird down, 4 to go. It's lunchtime. Michelle was kind enough to make me a ham and Swiss sandwich and some Cheetos. She just has Cheetos. She didn't have the sandwich, but I was getting hungry and I said, honey, I need some food. So, I know this is not Weight Watchers food. This is about as bad as you can get. You know, processed ham and cheese on white bread with Cheetos. But I love it. So, we're 3 birds in. That last bird took a while to pluck. So I'm averaging about 30 minutes a bird. So I've been doing it about an hour and a half, but I took a few breaks for doing this, that, and the other thing. So I'm going to finish my lunch, and then I'm going to start bird number 4. I got to say, one of the things when I'm plucking the chickens that makes it a little better is having my music on. I hook my Bluetooth speaker up, and it's a little more upbeat kind of songs that are, I don't know, get your blood pumping. And so I just kind of feel that it always helps me to pluck the chickens and not be either bored or the monotony of doing it, because it's taking me about 20 to 25 minutes a bird to hand pluck. But that's because I'm being very specific and particular and making sure I get all of the feathers out. So we're getting there. This is one of my favorite parts of my music. Love this song. Well, we are to the point of bagging now. So we did 6 birds, and I have them all lined up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I did all of the roosters, and we'll do the hens later on. Joan's going to come pick up her birds about half an hour. I emptied out the scalding water and I put clean water in, and I am heating that up to 190 degrees. What I do is I take the bag, the chicken, I put a tube in, a plastic tube, put that in the cavity of the bird, dip it for about 6 or 7 seconds and let the air come out, and then I zip tie it. So that's the only part I'm waiting for. What I also did was I cut off all the necks. So Michelle's Uncle John said that the neck has really good meat. So I'm going to try cooking the necks. I don't know how. I guess I'll Google it, but that's pretty much all that's left. There's a good picture of the necks. And there's the birds all lined up and ready to shrink wrap. The water is about ready. And Michelle did a great job cleaning up over where the birds were. I'm going to walk over there for a second. So we've been moving the tractor around like every second or third day. And so you can see where the spots are where the tractor was. We were putting down straw, but right now we did not put straw. There's 3 hens and 1 rooster left. But the rooster was smaller than the others. That's why we did not process him today. And then we have 3 hens. So they're going to be processed on the 9th. And of course, over here we have our egg hens, our golden comets, and our buff Orpingtons. Okay, the water is 195 degrees. I'm going to take the bag. I have the little rubber straw in there. I have a twisty tie. We're going to go ahead and dip it in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to pull it out, pull that zip tie tight, pull out the straw, and zip tie goes even tighter, and we're set. That chicken is shrink wrapped. Joan and Doug stopped by. Joan from Joan's Pointed Plate. I'll put it down below. And here are 2 of the Cornish Rocks that got processed today. And on October 9th, Joan, Doug, and I guess it's just going to be Andrew that's going to...
Hopefully he'll be able to get home.
I hope he gets home.
He's working on it.
That would, because those 4 that are sitting over there are waiting on him.
Yes.
So we got the 6 done today, 6 roosters. There's still 1 rooster left, but it was the smallest rooster left. And then we're going to go ahead and get these. But Joan just got to see the babies that I had, and she showed me the craziest, like, all black chicken I've ever seen. What's it called?
It's AYAM cremini or something. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's crazy.
I never saw a bird like this, so I'm
Because
going to
Jason and I are already planning for next spring.
You got to plan for like a year ahead, but that's our chicken math speaking.
It is chicken math.
So, all right, but thanks for watching. Hope you like, enjoy, subscribe, like. Have a great night.
See you later.